Hey everyone, Sean Deveney here from Heavy.com Sports. We're heading into the NBA offseason. Should be an interesting one for the Boston Celtics. I've got Steve Bulpett here, live from the Boston vicinity. Welcome, Steve. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I am very, very well. Let's talk about the Celtics and where they are heading into this offseason. Obviously, a trip to the finals sort of changes the calculus a little bit, you would think. What do you expect from the Celtics, just generally speaking, here in this offseason?
Unless something breaks free, I'm expecting tweaks. I think that Brad Stevens believes that he may already have some answers to Celtic needs on the roster as it stands. And I think he wants to see how that works out. But they're going to be, certainly going to be open if an impact player is able to be pride-free somewhere. We've already seen some drama around the league, and there's a possibility that there could be more. There always is. A trade could loosen something up. A team may have to move a player that could help the Celtics to make another trade work. So I think they're keeping their eyes open for that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. During his season-ending press conference, Stevens did seem to reference the fact that that they might be able to answer some of their questions with guys who haven't gotten enough playing time. I think it's no secret who he's probably referring to there more than anybody else. Yeah. But that is, as you've talked about plenty of times, that requires some buy-in from the coach.
Yeah, I mean, they would like some more consistent outside shooting, and to get more consistent outside shooting, you have to get outside shooters consistent shots. They've got to get their touches. They've got to be able to get in rhythm, so anybody you trade for or that you bring in on the mid-level exception or otherwise acquire, if he's a guy that you think can help you, you've got to be certain that the coach is going to give him the minutes that are necessary for that guy's skills to be realized.
Yeah, and of course, I think Aaron Nesmith is the guy who most comes to mind in all this, of course. But be interesting to see what he does during the offseason. I think that he could put in a level of work that will ensure that he gets on the floor. So some of that's going to be on him, no question, what he does this summer.
Yeah, but when you look at how he appears during games, he's obviously hustling like crazy especially defensively, because he knows that's a real key to getting on the court and staying there for more than a minute or two. But it looks like he's a little bit out of control offensively. And why does that happen? It's because you're not comfortable. You're trying to, you're rushing, get everything done. And it's more of an event when you're on the floor instead of having each possession be, okay, rhythm. Let's tune into the ebb and flow of this game and bring it around to what you want. So I think if you look at his game, his outside shot appears to be there. It certainly was there toward the end of his rookie year and last summer. I'm not sure how much they're going to get to see him this summer, because I don't think he's going to play in Vegas. Nor do I think he should, probably, because you need to look at other guys. And if you don't know what you have in him by now, after seeing him every day in practice and all that, then shame on you.
Yeah, so certainly Aaron Nesmith could be a guy who answers some questions for the Celtics here. One of the big things that they do have to work with, and that Brad did talk about last week, was the traded player exception. They've got a few of them. There's three big ones. Two of them don't expire till January, so those are a little less pressing in terms of whether they use them or not. The big one, though, is $17 million from the Evan 48 deal last summer. The question is, will they use it? What they can get for it realistically? I think that, fans are so well in tune with this kind of stuff now, and they know about all these intricacies of the salary cap, that if the Celtics don't use this thing, there's going to be a bit of a revolt. At the same time, these aren't easy to use, especially when you're in the Celtics position, being near the tax. You can't really do a sign and trade with this thing because it'll hard cap you, so you can't. That option is out. And look, they don't want to be giving away draft picks, right? I mean, they haven't been in the first round of the last 2 drafts. That's not where Brad Stevens wants to stay. He wants to be using draft picks. So to use this traded player exception, it might require they give away first round picks. They don't want to do that. So this isn't going to be that easy to use.
No. First of all, is there a guy out there who's available to you who is worth that kind of money that would fill the larger TPE? I'm not sure about that. But as far as using first round draft picks, I think if they can find something that they think might push them over the top or solidify the rotation significantly, I think he'd give up a first round pick. He did it for Derek White, gave away a player who might be just as good or maybe even better than Derek White and Josh Richardson, because they identified Derek White as the guy that would be the more perfect fit for them. He gave away a first round pick there and a potential pick swap. I don't think you can be that protective of a first round pick in a couple of years. If it's something that gets you the title, that's a deal you'd make. Whereas you don't want to give up picks, they're worth what you can get out of them. And if you can get much better odds toward a championship run, I think you'd do that. I think Brad would do that.
Interesting. They are in a position where they don't have much left in terms of second round picks. They've got 2 coming in next year, and then I think they have 1 in the next 4 drafts after that. So they're not loaded on that end either. So it is interesting. I do think that they want to be in the draft, but you're right. Look, if you've got a chance to win a championship, if that's the difference between you winning next June or not having enough depth to win, then you're going to have to pull the trigger there.
And let's face this too: if they get to the point where a few things screw up and they need to rebuild, they're going to have guys who can fetch them a big package in return that will include first round draft picks. If they end up having to trade one of their all-star type players, they're going to get first round draft picks included in that return.
Let's not look that far ahead yet, Steve. The finals just ended. Let's hope that the Celtics aren't already heading down that road.
Well, if we had the January schedule in front of us now, we could go game by game. But
that's right. They do have the mid-level exception, the tax mid-level exception, which is about $6.5 million, a little less than $6.5 million. You get to a point where you're a championship level team, and sometimes you get somebody to take a discount for something like that. I think that's something that if you're the Celtics, you're crossing your fingers, hoping that that maybe that something like that falls in your lap.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 2007-2018, their last championship, a guy like James Posey was invaluable to that team. And there's a guy that comes in on one of your slots. Didn't cost him a whole lot of money. It was probably worth more elsewhere. And he got that after the season was over. So guys, that they won't necessarily take a discount and take the mid-level exception just for a chance to win a ring. But I think if they see an opportunity of like, hey, I might take a little bit less than what I can get right now, but if I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get realistic playing time and have a chance to enhance my value, and I can make up whatever I lose in this contract in the next bite of the apple that I get, then I think, it'll be more of a business decision for them in that regard, in addition to the opportunity to play for a championship.
Yeah, so you're going in, accepting less money, but thinking that you're going to get the exposure, you're going to get the, the stink of winning on you, and as that happens, then you get that. Then your value goes up.
I think stink of winning only applies. I'm trying to think of someone to whom that phrase would work. Maybe Kevin Durant when he kind of joined the party already in progress at Golden State. So I think his winning carried some measure of stink to it, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Harrison Barnes was somebody who certainly benefited from being on that Warriors team and got paid a whole lot of money, probably more than he would have gotten if he hadn't been part of the championship team.
For him, it's not stink of winning; it's the fragrance of winning.
It's fragrance, I guess you could put it that way. I like stink, but we'll go with
stink for some, but fragrance for others.
Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be guys who don't get what they think they're going to get in free agency, and at that point, that's when you look, okay, where can I go to sort of rebuild my value, where I can get some playing time and be on a winning team and come back out better for it the other side. You do see that quite a bit.
Yeah, and for the Celtics, it could come down to the question of who is this year's Dennis Schroeder. And is that someone who fits better for you than Dennis Schroeder did when you took that chance last year?
Yeah, there's a chance Dennis Schroeder could be this year's Dennis Schroeder. We'll see. Not for the Celtics, but for somebody else.
I don't think they break back into that jail. No.
I think they're done with that chapter of their history. I did want to take a look around the rest of the East because the Celtics. As the defending East champs, you've got to say, okay, well, who's out there who could potentially knock them off? I think that the drama that we've seen unfold in Brooklyn is probably not good, even though they're going to keep Durant and Kyrie Irving together, at least for this year. Probably not good for team chemistry, the way all that unfolded. So, I think you knock them down a peg. But who else do you think are the realistic teams to be watching this offseason who could make a move, maybe are a move away from really becoming a contender in the East? Or is this still the Celtics to lose?
Well, if you're looking at competition for the Celtics, there's a lot of it. I don't think the Celtics are guaranteed anything going in next year. They might be a Vegas favorite, but that means little. The first team you got to look at is Milwaukee, because if they bring back their crew with Chris Middleton, that's huge right there. And the guy people don't talk about, I don't believe enough, is Brook Lopez. When they had a lot of their issues during the year, they were missing Brook Lopez, and he is a big part of what they do. Defensively, offensively, a guy with that kind of size who can stretch the floor as well. He fits what they do. He can get out of the way and allow Giannis of the lane to the hoop or more room to operate inside, because a big guy who would normally be there guarding the Milwaukee big guy is having to step outside or, step closer to the perimeter because Brook Lopez can hit that shot.
Yeah, and I think Miami is obviously a team that you've got to look out for. They were in Game 7 against the Celtics, so obviously you've got them, and they could be in a position to make a move here this summer.
Yeah, with Miami. It's like, tell me what Miami's going to be when the season starts, because what they are right now, I don't think is what they're going to be then. Right. So it's hard to say, I don't know if the Celtics can beat Miami or how Miami stacks up in the Eastern food chain, because you just don't know what you don't know what their team is, because you can have a certain degree of belief that what they are now is not what they're going to be when we start dribbling again.
Yeah, and probably a team that would scare me a little bit if I were the Celtics going forward, and they've got some cap space to use, and that's Toronto, who played better and better as the year went on. last year when they were healthy. We'll see what happens with OG Anunoby. There's been some talk that they'd be willing to trade him. I don't know that there's any realistic talk in terms of that, but they've got a good, deep, young team. They've got one of the best executives in the league, in Masai Ujiri, and they've got some, they've got some space to work with. So, Toronto to me is sort of a dark horse team to keep an eye on here.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of guys who make plays. What they need, I believe, is like if they could find a younger version of Kyle Lowry, someone to, kind of direct the orchestra there and make plays. But I love a lot of the guys they've got. I'm a big Fred VanVleet fan. He may not be a superstar, but he's a guy. He's a competitor, and he makes plays. And they've got just a bunch of young guys, and it's like, wow, these guys are really athletic and and competitive. And you take any one of a handful of guys that are there, and like put one of those guys on the Celtics, and have the Celtics actually play transition basketball. I don't think people would be using their seats much at TD Garden.
Yeah, they're.
I'm not saying they wouldn't be there; they'd be standing up.
Right. I knew what you meant, Steve.
Well, but I'm looking out for the dumb people like myself.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks a lot, Steve. And NBA free agency will open on Thursday evening. Be interesting to watch. And thanks everybody for checking us out. Oh, yeah. I got to get out of here, right?